If you thought the past 2 weeks couldn't get worse for Donald Trump, have I got news for you. He is now being embarrassed by U.S. Olympic athletes during the Summer Olympics. Now, you'll remember that Trump had surfaced this bizarre concept of black jobs during the first presidential debate.
His big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Because nothing says you're not racist quite like insisting black people only fit into certain professions like manual labor jobs. Now, it turns out that Simone Biles, the gymnast who just won her 7th gold medal in Paris, took the opportunity to subtweet Donald Trump, saying, quote, "I love my black job." Her post immediately went viral with praise from Mark Hamill, to LeBron James, to Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, to the governor of Connecticut. But I gotta say, it is brilliant of Simone Biles to turn Donald Trump's own racist comment right back at him by co-opting his degrading idea of black jobs to mean an Olympic gold medalist. And it's especially perfect considering Biles herself has been the victim of right-wing hate-mongering for years now. Here's JD Vance attacking Biles and her supporters when she stepped away from competing to focus on her mental health.
Did she let down the country, do you think?
Well, I think obviously it's understandable that she was going through an incredible amount of pressure. What I find so weird about this, and it reflects more on the media than it does on Simone Biles, is that we've tried to turn a very tragic moment, Simone Biles quitting the Olympic team, into this act of heroism. And I think it reflects pretty poorly on our sort of therapeutic society that we try to praise people not for moments of strength, not for moments of heroism, but for their weakest moments. And look, being an athlete is tough. Being an athlete at that level is incredibly tough. A normal response in this moment would be to say, it's just a shame that she's going through this. It's a shame that she quit. But instead, what our press has done, I think, is turn this into this weird therapeutic moment. Let's praise her for doing this. And I think that's really where the problem here lies.
Ah, yes. So the guy whose biggest achievement in life was degrading himself so thoroughly that he decided to become the running mate for a guy who he called America's Hitler, thinks that we should shame one of the United States' greatest athletes for having the confidence and willpower to destigmatize mental health. Got it. And as we all know, the hate that Republicans have shown toward black athletes goes back a long way. Remember this from Fox News?
It's always unwise to seek political advice from someone who gets paid $100 million a year to bounce a ball. Oh, and LeBron and Kevin, you're great players, but no one voted for you. Millions elected Trump to be their coach. So keep the political commentary to yourself, or as someone once said, shut up and dribble.
Right, shut up and dribble, except when the athlete in question is, well, not black. Here's what that same network said when it came to Drew Brees' commentary on protests during the national anthem.
Well, he's allowed to have his view about what kneeling and the flag means to him. I mean, he's a person. He has some worth, I would imagine. I mean, this is beyond football, though. This is totalitarian conduct. This is Stalinist. And by the way, on the streets of New Orleans, we're looking at live pictures. They're shouting "F Drew Brees."
Wow.
That's what this moment has done to the beautiful team spirit of the New Orleans Saints.
He's a great Christian man.
When Republicans have nothing left, they will always have racism. That is the bedrock, underlying foundation of their campaigns. And we're seeing it, by the way, right now. As Kamala Harris climbs in the polls and Trump is floundering, what does he do? He goes to the National Association of Black Journalists to tell black reporters how nasty and rabid they are.
I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country.
He can't even handle his own words being quoted to him in a direct question. And yet this is the guy who's supposed to be the right's alpha male and strongman? And in case it wasn't clear enough from Rachel Scott's line of questioning in the clip, let's be very clear. Donald Trump is the guy who was sued for racial discrimination in housing. He took out an entire ad calling to execute innocent black men who were exonerated as part of the Central Park Five. He began his time in politics by pushing the birther conspiracy about President Obama. He began his 2016 campaign by demonizing people of color. He calls black people unintelligent and low IQ. He dined with white nationalists and called white supremacists in Charlottesville very fine people. This is who he's always been. And a black woman who takes no shit to Donald Trump is his kryptonite. He is flailing and scared. I mean, this is the same convicted felon who is backing out of the debate that he already agreed to because he is so deeply afraid of being called out to his face by a prosecutor who put fraudsters and sex predators just like him behind bars. Which is why when Donald Trump sees a moment like this, he knows how much trouble he would be in.
As many of you know, before I was elected vice president and before I was elected a United States Senator, I was an elected Attorney General and an elected District Attorney. And before that, I was a courtroom prosecutor. So in those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. I know the type. And I have been dealing with people like him my entire career. For example, as Attorney General of California, I took on one of our country's largest for-profit colleges that was scamming students. Well, Donald Trump ran a for-profit college that scammed students. As a prosecutor, I specialized in child sexual abuse cases and sexual abuse cases. Well, Trump was found liable for committing sexual abuse. And as an Attorney General, I held the big Wall Street banks accountable for fraud. Donald Trump was just found guilty of fraud. 34 counts. So in this campaign, I will proudly put my record against his any day of the week. Any day of the week.
So look, at the end of the day, as awful and detestable as Donald Trump and MAGA's racism is, just remember this. The worse it gets, the clearer it becomes that Republicans are desperate. They don't know how to run against Kamala, or deal with being called out by black athletes, or cope with the fact that a black woman is presiding over Donald Trump's upcoming trial. So what do? They lash out and remind the majority of Americans who they really are. And the more they squirm and scream and yell, the worse it will get for them. And that's not just my prediction. Just in the last several days, 44,000 black women organized a Zoom call that raised $1.5 million for Harris's campaign, and 53,000 black men followed up with a Zoom call of their own that raised $1.3 million for Harris, which is to say nothing of the thousands of people who rallied in support of Harris in Atlanta. I mean, just look at this crowd. So Trump is going to continue to question Harris's race and throw out slurs and talk about black jobs, but the more he does it, the more public figures like Simone Biles herself are going to speak out, and the more Americans are going to be reminded about how awful and racist he really is, and why it's just that important to turn out in November. Donald Trump might think that the racism is helping him, but considering Simone Biles just used her platform at the biggest moment in her life to clap back, it really doesn't seem like Trump's strategy is doing him any favors. I've got a really exciting announcement. I've written a book. It's called Shameless. This book explores how Republicans have exploited their historical branding while attacking our democracy, how the media has proven itself a willful participant, and how Democrats can learn from this to rebalance the political scales and save our democracy. It has been a lifelong dream of mine to write my own book, and so I'd like to ask you to pre-order it by clicking the link right here on the screen. And if you buy within this pre-order period, your book is going to come with a signed nameplate. As you know, I've never had a single sponsor on my channel. I don't ask for money or anything like that, but if you're looking for a way to support me, this is hands down the best way to do it. So again, follow the link right here on the screen, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for pre-ordering Shameless. And as always, make sure to subscribe to see more of my content.